Are there any other members that wish to contribute? Member for Oshawa.
Well, thank you very much, Speaker, and I'm pleased to stand, as always, and rise in my place. I don't know that folks were expecting me back, but still I rise, and congratulate you on your re-election. But we're debating a point of order that has all of us quite worked up today, and for good reason. We throw around the word democracy in this space and sort of leave it subject to our own personal interpretation, but it isn't. You know, it is a binding idea that our whole society has historically defended and should continue to defend. And we talk about a lot of things that happen in this room to be in the weeds, you know, that folks outside who are worried about our collapsing healthcare system or public education on the brink or other real issues, folks outside of this space may not be following along or think, what are they talking about? They're elected to serve their communities. All of this is gravy. All of this is extra. All of this, how does this affect me? And I recognize that and I appreciate it. But I want to speak and say that, you know, the last 4 years before this, if we're talking about traditions and proud traditions, the last 4 years were not a part of those proud traditions. I would say that much of the last 4 years, not all, wonderful moments the last 4 years, but some really controlling and toxic takeaways from the last 4 years. And I would say that this is an inauspicious start, that here we are on the first day talking about how we as members can best serve this House. And so to this point of order, with the committee makeup, and we can dance around with all of the words and whatnot, but I appreciated the conversation that I had with our interim leader and with my colleagues, frankly, about the role that I would serve, the role that they were hopeful to serve. I had a fantastic conversation, actually, with the member from Toronto St. Paul's about the chair in which you sit. We talked about the traditions of this space and place. And for some of the new members that I haven't had a chance to work with or meet, I had the esteemed privilege to serve as a presiding officer for the last 4 years with a great team in that chair. And I'm a rule person, and I like my structure, and I like my rules, and I come to this House by way of the classroom. And I also like color-coordinated, alphabetized. Like that's how I roll, Speaker. And oddly enough, I didn't want the job initially when our former leader had talked to me about it, and I took it. And I'm awfully glad I did because, man, I loved it. That's personal. But what I loved about it was I sat in that chair, as you do, as others have. Very few others have sat in that chair. And as the new members who have been some appointed by surprise, maybe others new. But for those who will serve in this chair, you know, the motto of this legislature is to hear the other side. And you have to in that chair. You can't be on your phone. You can't send that burning email. You don't even know what's happening outside, you know, this space, but you listen. And learned a lot. And I was hopeful to do it again. So this isn't the Jennifer story, but it is something to bear in mind as a point of reference. Whether it's a committee chair or a committee appointment, which I just found out today, surprise, my name is on the motion, and I've been, randomly allocated to some committee that if I have the pleasure to serve, I will be glad to. But surprise, and as we as a caucus had discussed our strengths, our interests, what we wanted to do, what we had a burning desire committee to serve on, or who would potentially be appointed to that chair. And the member from Toronto St. Paul's, I think you would have been fantastic in that chair. The member from Parkdale High Park and myself were names put forward to the government. For whatever reason, in their ultimate wisdom, we are not allowed, and it's disappointing on a personal level. But more importantly, I stand in this House today as a pawn of the government, unwillingly. I'm a bold and strong woman with a heck of a voice that I'm going to use it, and now that I've been taken out of the chair circulation, my voice has been put back into this space for another day each week. So I'll use it. because, of course, when you're in the chair, you have to be impartial. I'm disappointed that the chair is being used in such a partisan way. The games have been really disappointing, but I think more important than that, I think it's dangerous. And we should support the traditions. I've heard some of the new members, old habits die hard. I was sitting here giving them my full attention this morning. It was great. You know, we get to learn from each other in our inaugural speeches. But talking about traditions, parliamentary traditions, and precedent. The clerks can correct me. I have no idea. I don't think there's ever been a precedent for the opposition to put forward their choices and the government to say, nope. But to be picked up as a pawn, and many of the other, especially in the speakers, the game of pawns here, it's all women who've been just picked up and maneuvered, I would say without involvement. I'm forced to accept it today. But it is not the precedent I believe that we should set in this House. So the committee work is a separate part, the chair, but all of it is the same, because we talk about deputy speakers, but really they're chairs of the committee of the whole House. So it's all just, moving things around without member engagement. So when we talk about the core principle of democracy and member involvement, member voice, I'd say that we're violating that. So I don't know whether I've spoken tersely to the point of order, but I will relinquish my time now. But I do encourage all members to listen to what I've said. Pretty words come from your own benches, from our benches, but listen through them. And we are all here fundamentally to serve our community. So anything extra we get to do is just that, but we should do it well. We should do it. Respectfully, respecting this place as well as each other. Thank you, Speaker.
I thank the member for London West for her point of...